File copy. Human rights lawyer and senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana. Human rights lawyer, Femi Falana, SAN, has said that members of the Nigerian armed forces, if properly funded and motivated, are capable of winning the war against terrorism and banditry in the country without foreign intervention. He also called on federal government not to let U.S. President Donald Trump to promote religious war in Nigeria. Falana, who expressed regret that terrorists, as seen in their videos, appeared better equipped than members of the country's armed forces, charged the federal government to adequately equip the military for victory in the war. The senior advocate, who spoke in a chat with journalists in his Alawe-Ekiti hometown on Saturday, bemoaned how some known figures in the country stole funds meant for the purchase of arms and ammunition. He urged the federal government to put in place a mechanism for the recovery of such funds and ensure they are used for their original purpose. Falana said, if the members of the armed forces are well equipped and motivated, they can deal with terrorism and banditry. But as a result of the neglect of vital security institutions over the years, the ragtag armies of criminal elements are winning the war on terror. It is a shame. The senior advocate, who lamented the role of corruption in the fight against insecurity, queried, how do you fight terrorism in an environment where the money budgeted for the procurement of arms and ammunition is stolen by well-known criminal elements in society? From time to time, I defend military officers and soldiers who are charged with war crimes and other offenses under the Armed Forces Act. I know that they are prepared to prosecute the counterinsurgency operation, but they lack vital equipment. The money earmarked for the procurement of arms and ammunition was stolen by a coterie of military officers and their civilian collaborators. The courts are not helping, as they hide under dubious technicalities to free indicted criminals who stole billions of naira in procurement funds. For instance, a service chief was charged with stealing 22.8 billion nairas. The Federal High Court freed him on the ground that he was not charged before a court-martial. Meanwhile, he was charged with money laundering, which can only be tried exclusively by the Federal High Court. A former governor was charged with stealing 6.9 billion nairas from the office of the then National Security Advisor, Col. Sambo Dasuki. A judge has just freed him without even allowing him to defend himself. A few other military officers and civilians who stole about 200 billion nairas have been asked to go home and enjoy the stolen funds earmarked for the purchase of military hardware. Meanwhile, our soldiers are ill-equipped because of the criminal diversion of huge funds. So, the government must put in place a mechanism for the recovery of money meant for the procurement of arms and ammunition which has been stolen, with a view to using the funds for the purpose for which they were meant as a matter of urgency. If you equip your armed forces and motivate the members, Nigeria can fight terrorism and banditry without the intervention of any country. To secure Nigeria is not the business of any foreign nation, It is the duty of the government under the Constitution, and that duty must be carried out by the government. There is no indication that the government is incompetent and cannot secure Nigeria. Since Nigerians know where the problems lie, we have a duty to compel the government of our country to carry out its responsibility under the law. Speaking in reaction to a U.S. airstrike in Sokoto and the government's statement that it provided intelligence for the operation, Falana said, "Let the Nigerian government be warned not to allow U.S. President Mr. Donald Trump to promote religious war in Nigeria." Trump is saying his intervention is to protect Christians. The criminals that are killing Nigerians do not care about religion. Those who are collecting ransom after kidnapping Nigerians do not worry about religion. Therefore, the war against terror in Nigeria must be carried out without any attempt to divide our people along religious and ethnic lines. Also, you cannot end insecurity in a country without addressing social insecurity. If young people are unemployed and unemployment is on the increase, some of them are likely to be driven to criminality. It is often said that the devil finds work for idle hands. So while the government is being pressured to fund and equip the armed forces and the Nigerian police force, sufficient attention must be paid to youth unemployment, he said. Recall that insecurity took an ugly turn towards the end of last year, with increasing cases of banditry attacks, killings and kidnappings for ransom. U.S. President Donald Trump, who expressed concern over the situation in Nigeria, describing it as an attack on Christians, ordered airstrikes in Nigeria, which were reportedly carried out on a terrorist base in Sokoto on Christmas Day. The federal government said it provided intelligence for the airstrike. The development has generated mixed reactions across the country.